why would I take advice from you? You haven't done the things that, I want to aspire to be. No, that's very wrong. This teacher is very, very important. Hey, everybody. How's it going? Hopefully y'all are having a great day today. In today's video, I wanted to discuss the two different types of teachers that you're going to typically have in your life and the importance behind both. I think there's an emphasis placed on one type of teacher and not the other, which I think is detrimental to the growth of a lot of people nowadays. So hopefully you enjoy, and let's get into the video. So first up is the teacher we all know and likely emulate in our lives, right? That's this teacher that has done the thing that we ourselves would like to do. This could be a pro athlete when you yourself are aspiring to be a pro in that sport, or even just a collegiate or even a competitive athlete, right? This could be the person at work who is just crushing their sales metrics and you really want to be like them. Or maybe it's just even a best friend that you think is doing very well in life and you think to yourself, well, if I could be kind of like them, life would be good. And this teacher is fantastic, right? This teacher is going to do a lot for you in the way of telling you how they did it, right? What paths worked for them. And while this is important, I do think that there's a side of things that is being missed by this teacher, right? And that is covered by the other teacher, right? This teacher is someone in life who maybe didn't necessarily achieve the life that you wanted to achieve, right? Maybe it was their goal to be that pro athlete. It was their goal to be the sales metric crusher. And it was their goal to be, just an all around solid person, right? And for some reason or another, they just didn't get there. And some of them know why, some of them don't know why, right? But the fact remains that they don't have that life yet, or maybe ever, right? Depending on who they are and how devoted they are to kind of trying to better themselves, right? This teacher is very, very important for you to be able to identify throughout your life and listen to them, genuinely listening to them, right? Not just dismissing them. Oh, why would I take advice from you? You haven't done the things that, I want to aspire to be, right? So I'm going to dismiss the things that you're going to say. No, that's very wrong, right? And I want you to try and imagine, if you can, the slope towards progress as being kind of like a slanted bar, if you will, right? And atop the point of the hill that is higher than where you're at here in the middle is the idealized teacher, right? This is the person that has made it and they have done the thing that you at least want to do, or at least see as a checkpoint, right? And down below here, you have the teacher who didn't quite make it, but learned some lessons along the way. Both teachers can help you ascend this hill, right? This teacher down here will help you by pushing you forward, right? Telling you the things that they wish they did, right? Some people may say, oh, I wish I read more books, or I wish I studied harder in college. And maybe they dropped out. Maybe they graduated, but they didn't graduate with as good of a grade as they thought they could have, right? That should serve as motivation, or you should be able to take away some things not to do there, while also taking positives from this teacher up here, where they are trying to give you the keys that work for them to kind of pull you up that hill. So really you have a driving force pushing you, and then a pulling force pulling you up that hill. Without one, you can still ascend the hill, but it becomes significantly harder, right? This second teacher, right? I think that it's a tough relationship to have, right? Because you can kind of become a little bit like dismissive of the things that they say. And this might be because you're kind of framing them as maybe the teacher up here, right? And what I mean by that is, if this teacher down here doesn't acknowledge that they are in fact the pushing teacher, right? Not the pulling teacher. And they speak as if they are pulling you up the hill, it can come across as hypocritical, right? You might think to yourself, who are you to tell me these things, right? You don't even do them yourself, right? Someone giving you relationship advice, but they're habitually single, right? So it's important to understand if you yourself are trying to be a teacher that is the pushing force teacher, make sure that you don't give off too much of this teacher's vibe, right? Like, you don't want to send the message that you think you're here in this student's life, right? You need to make sure that you acknowledge, hey, I am this teacher, but I'm going to tell you what did not work for me in the hopes that you can find a different way, right? However the saying goes, I never fail. I just find one more way that doesn't work, right? That's this whole teacher's MO, right? So if you are the student and you realize that a pushing teacher is kind of acting up here, it is your job to be able to calm your emotion, to calm your desire to call out the hypocrite or dismiss somebody who thinks that they're better than you, even though they haven't achieved anything. It's important you push that aside and you think to yourself, I have the opportunity to learn from a downhill teacher that is going to be able to push me up the hill. They themselves are confused at what teacher they are, but from what I understand, I think that they're this teacher. So I need to rephrase the things that they say into pushing teacher terminology, right? So, if they're giving you relationship advice and they're saying, oh yeah, all my relationships were successful. It was just that, for one reason or another, it was the other person that was always wrong, or they always brought some drama, or they always did this, or they always did that, right? Now, if you're thinking about them as an uphill teacher, you might think to yourself, okay, this guy clearly has a failed relationship, doesn't realize that he's the problem, and yet he thinks that, he belongs up here, right? Instead, if you conceptualize him as the downhill teacher, you can rephrase the things that he's saying, right? I consistently externalized the problem. I always said that it was outside factors that ruined my relationships, and I didn't stop to look internally and think to myself, am I the actual problem? And that's why my relationships failed, right? So you have now turned what you would have dismissed as a hypocritical uphill teacher. You have converted the things that they're saying and have learned a valuable lesson from a downhill teacher, right? And if you are able to do this and you're able to master this skill, you are going to advance throughout life, and then throughout the endeavors that you yourself want to advance through, you're going to do so at a rapid rate because you are going to find the uphill teachers that you want in your life, right? You tend to do the picking for those. The downhill teachers tend to enter your life, and you need to be able to filter the things that they say as downhill teachers, right? And use that as a pushing force as you ascend up your hill towards whatever goal it is that you have, okay? And one last thing I'll bring up about this is we as humans want to teach, right? We love helping other people. And it's important that you realize if you one day want to become a teacher, you need to understand where you are on the hill relationship wise to the person that you're trying to teach, right? And a person is never going to be the same teacher in all categories, right? Some categories they're going to be on the hill. They're going to be up the hill, right? And some categories are going to be down the hill, right? I personally do a lot with personal finance, right? I have made my own financial education course. I manage my own personal assets very well. And, from most metrics that I can find online, I am in the upper percentile of people as far as, net worth or whatever category you want to categorize by age. I do fall in the higher percentile, right? So from an objective standpoint, I rank higher than a lot of people, right? So I feel confident in that. I can talk from up here. When it comes to education, though, I didn't take everything seriously when I was in college, and I wish I had. And I'm not so delusional that I think I'm up here to talk to someone about college, right? If I'm talking about education, I very frequently will contextualize myself as the downhill teacher and say to them, I wish I did more, right? The desire that I have now as someone who is a lot older, who has, kind of seen what could be for somebody who applies themselves in college, I wish I tried harder. And I'm okay with that. And my hope is that I can help somebody as a downhill teacher and push them towards their goals or a little bit closer to their uphill teacher, right? So recognize yourself if you want to be a teacher in life, which category you fall under per topic, right? And that's going to be massively helpful to you, and it's going to be a big help to your students, right? So throughout life, make sure you're constantly aware of these two different types of teachers, and the uphill teacher someday may be your downhill teacher, right? Depends on how fast you're progressing. You're always trying to find the new uphill teacher, and that puts a new category of people into your downhill teaching category, right? So, if you think about it like teachers here, you're downhill, teachers here, uphill. if you're in the middle right here and you progress to there, right? Well, this category that was your downhill teacher now shifts, was your uphill teacher now shifts to your downhill teacher. And they're going to have a whole host of lessons that they didn't do, that they wish they did, that they think would have worked better for them, right? Again, your prior downhill category has no idea of these things, right? Which is why it's so important to continually shift how you're learning from your teachers and consistently seek out new teachers that are a little bit further along the path that you want to be, right? So anyways, hope you all found this video helpful. It's something that really helped me throughout my life, and it's a constant thought in my head of when I'm trying to seek out advice from others. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. But otherwise, I hope you all have a fantastic morning, evening, afternoon, wherever it may be. Without anything else to say, hope you all have a great day.